Whoa, whoa, come take my hand. We're riding out tonight to case the promised land. Whoa, 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 thunder roll, whoa, thunder roll, whoa, thunder roll. Lying out there like a killer in the sun. Yeah, I know it's late, we can make it if we run. Whoa, 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 thunder roll, sits high, take hold, thunder roll. Well, I've got this guitar and I've learned how to make it on. And my car's out back if you're ready to take that along. Hey friends, what's going on? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and in today's lesson I have Thunder Road by Bruce Springsteen, the absolute classic of a song. A lot of you have recommended this one. I'm excited to have finally learned it. So check this out. I got this PDF available for you. It's 4 pages, right? The first page gives you all the lyrics for the entire song, all typed out, formatted nicely with a little chord cheat sheet and a little strumming notes there. Page 2 is going to go in depth on some of the chord voicings. I'll show you 2 different ways to play the chords, as well as some strumming notes, right? 3 different strumming patterns. Page 3 is going to be a chord progression cheat sheet for the entire song, as well as giving you the first lyric of each line. That way you can learn the progressions and have a little bit of a lyrical cue. This song is a beast. It's so long. There's a lot of parts that use different progressions than the previous part, so it doesn't really fall into a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus format. So this is going to be a really handy guide for you for learning those. And then finally we have the intro and the outro riffs. If you want to approximate them on guitar, I have this one in page 4. What I'm talking about there is what you hear with the harmonica or the guitar at the very end, right? Right, you can play this. Lots of fun to be had with that one. So let's get into it. The first half of this lesson will be a bit more beginner friendly. I'll start with the basics, and in the second half I'll get into some of the more advanced stuff, and I'll end it all with a playthrough of the whole thing from start to finish. So you'll be in good shape. Get the PDF over at my website, playsongnotes.com. I have lots of other PDFs over there as well. Jump ahead if you know what you're looking for. Thanks very much for watching, y'all. I'll see you on the other side. Let's do it. Thunder Road, Bruce Springsteen, capo 3rd fret, standard tuning. Let's go. All right, so let's begin with the chords for this song. So one more reminder is I am capo 3rd fret, just so you know there. So big picture, the chords we're going to need in their simplest formats look like this. These are the common voicings, and these are basically all the major chords in the key of D, right? We'll have our D major chord. We'll have our G major chord. And I recommend playing it with your ring finger on this 3rd fret as the 2nd string, because that's where it is for the D. So it makes this transition between D and G easy. And you're going between these 2 chords a lot, okay? So that's your D and your G. You'll need your A, okay? I play it with this like triangle shape, but you could do all 3 fingers in a row. The triangle shape is good if you have big fingers. I have a separate lesson on this. That's an A major chord. You don't need some minor chords. These are a bit of a pain. They are less common, which is good. You'll need a B minor chord. You'll need an F sharp minor chord. In both of those, I'm barring the 2nd fret. Okay, so they have that in common. I have separate videos on each of those as well. And you'll need an E minor at the end just for a little bit. Just a 2-finger chord. Pretty straightforward, right? So if we take those chords and we were to look at the progressions, we could play the entire song, right? Now I want to get into some strumming pattern stuff in a little bit, but first let's look at these progressions and sort of demystify it, right? And I'm going to go through the verse and the chorus a few different times and talk about how you can just use these chords, and you could just do a single strum, right? The simplest possible way to strum this chord, this song, is to do a single strum on the 1 count of each measure. So we're going to have 4 counts per measure. If you put on the metronome and played along with Bruce's version, it'd be about 140 beats per minute, which is pretty fast. It's a little bit more than 2 beats per second, right? You can slow it down though if you want to make it your own, which is totally fine too. But in either case, pretty much most of this song, every measure is just 1 chord being played, and we can usually just play the first count of each measure, and that would work. For example, let me play through just 1 verse and 1 chorus, and I'm going to do a single strum on the 1 count, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's basically what I'm going to be doing tempo-wise. So if we did the first verse, here's the progression, right? We're going to be on D for 1 measure, G for 1 measure, right? And then D for a measure. You do have this thing in the verse where he does a quick change from a G to a D in the third measure of the first line of the verse. You can skip that G if it's giving you trouble, but again, if you keep your ring finger here, it becomes a lot more manageable. So let's do this. Let's do this verse and just sing through it. One chord per strum. If you follow along with my chart here, every time you see a chord with the lyrics, you strum that chord for one measure, right? So we're just going to do one strum per measure. So the screen door slams, Mary's dress waves. 2, 3, like a vision she dances across the porch as the radio plays, right? G again. Roy G. Orbison singing for the A. Hey, that's D and I want you G. Don't turn me G again, I D can't face my A. That's myself alone again, right? And then that's basically what we're going to use for all the verses that repeat. And the chorus would be the same deal. It's just to do one strum. So you can hide beneath your covers and steady your pain. Make crosses from your lovers, throw roses in the rain. Waste your summer praying in vain for a savior to rise from these streets. Okay? And then we would repeat that. I'm no hero, that's understood. The lyrics will change, but these progressions will basically be relatively consistent. We have a lot of these verses and a lot of these choruses. In the end, things get a bit hectic. There's a bridge section and an ending section. I'll play those right now as well if we did a single strum. So if the bridge would be, well, I've got this guitar and I've A, how to make it talk D, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3. And my B minor's out back if your B minor ready to take that G, E, A. Long walk from your G porch to my front A. My door's open but the ride ain't free. Well, I know you're lonely for words that I ain't spoke. Tonight we'll be free, all the promises will be broken, right? Then he goes on to the final verse, right? There were ghosts in the eyes of all the boys you sent away. And we did a single strum. That's what it would sound like. The last real tricky part is going to be this ending, which is going to be sound like this, right? So, and in the lonely cool before dawn, you hear their engines roaring on. When you get to the porch, they're gone on the wind. Mary climbing, 3, 4, E minor. It's a town full of losers. I'm pulling out of here to win. Right? So then you go into the ending. So what I did right there is I just did the verse, the chorus, the bridge, and the ending. I did a single strum on each chord, okay? For each measure. Now, I'm going to do a full playthrough and you're going to hear how everything sounds. That's going to be later in the lesson. But I just wanted to say that if you take those chords and you take my chord progression cheat sheet here, which, you know, I spent a lot of time formatting this entire chord sheet because there's so many lyrics. I wanted to do this song justice. And if you kind of mostly know the lyrics to this song, this sheet will give you like the starting line of each lyric and how it maps with each line in the verse, in the chorus, in the verse, in the chorus, in the bridge, in the verse, in the ending, in the outro. So you'll be in good shape there. So now that you know the chord shapes and you know how you can play it basically with a single strum by following the progressions, let's get into the strumming a little bit more. And I'll talk about some of the ways you can amp up the strumming and do a more full strum. So the next strum I would recommend, well, we started with this one, which is a down, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4. The next one I would recommend is doing the down, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. The main idea here is your one count is your sort of full strum. Right? We're going to keep our hand, if you can, keep your hand moving at the pace of the quarter notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're doing that, right before you switch to the next chord on the one count, on that and 4 and just try to brush the strings lightly as you're going up, down, up, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And you want that one count to get some oomph, to get some emphasis, right? It's accented. So if we did the verse with this strumming pattern, it would sound like this. And I'm going to show you how you can take it even further up. But my point here is that this song is so long, you want to be really sparing with your strum. You don't want to just strum like it's a folk song, like a Bob Dylan song the whole time, because it's going to be too constant, and this song is all about the swells and the valleys and the peaks and the rises and the falls, and you want to, if you go slow a lot of the time and you be kind of chill, it lets you be bigger at some of the choruses and it makes more of an impact. So let's do the down, up, down, up, down. Let's strum, let's do the second verse, right? So 1, 2, 3. Don't run back inside, darling, you know just what I'm here for. So you're scared and you're thinking that maybe we ain't that young anymore. Show a little faith, there's magic in the night. We ain't no beauty, but hey, you're alright. Oh, and that's alright with me. Now you'll notice I made 2 different mistakes there. I was kind of adding some strums at different parts. And kind of the reason I'm sharing with you is it's not practical for you to play the entire song in this manner, but it is practical to have it in your bag of tricks, right? Because you could kind of do a sing strum to this song, or just, just do 1 strum per measure, and every now and then do add these filler strums. And that's really the point, is get comfortable with the 1 count as your main thing, but then be comfortable adding in these other filler strums. Now let's go to the full strumming pattern here, which is the down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and... Now, if you try to give the 1 count a little bit of an accent or an emphasis, if you can, and you were to do the song like this, so let's do the chorus, right? You can hide beneath your covers and steady your pain. Make crosses from your lovers, throw roses in the rain. Waste your summer praying in vain for a savior to rise from these streets. Well, now I'm no hero, that's understood. Now the redemption I can offer girls beneath this dirty hood, with a chance to make it real somehow. Hey, what else can we do now except roll down the window and let the wind blow back our hair? Well, the night's busted open, these 2 lanes will take us anywhere. Trading the wind to make it real, to trade his wings on sun wheels. Climbing back, oh, heaven's waiting down on the tracks. Okay? And oh, come take my hand. So I was doing a pretty constant strum there. I wasn't necessarily deviating too much with laying off in certain areas and going heavier in certain areas. I was being constant. That's one way to play this song. Now, when I play it in full, I kind of like to do much more of an organic strum. Again, dial it down, almost like kind of mix between singing and talking with this song. Some bits are a bit more conversational, and it's almost like spoken poetry that's half sung with chord strums here and there. It's all about using the strumming for taste, in my opinion, right? So that's the strumming pattern that you could use for the entire song if you want. And with that said, let me get into some of the more advanced stuff. So I'm going to show you some advanced chord voicings, and I'm going to show you some advanced strumming picking patterns. Really, you can keep this down, up, this down, down, up, down, up motion, but you can sort of do it in a way where you are only plucking some of the strings while you use that motion, right? About that next. First, let's look at these chord voicings, these alternate chord voicings. The idea here is to take the D and the G and the A and the B minor and the F sharp minor and the E minor and use voicings that are less traditional and less common. What we're going to do here is these unique voicings where basically we're going to keep this note on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, for all the notes, all the chords being played. So our finger is going to be there. This ring finger for all the chords is going to stay constant. Also, with the exception of the regular D, we're going to leave the open E string open, the high E string open for all the chords. So we're going to get a D that sounds like this, a G that's like this, an A that's like this, a B minor that's like this, an F sharp minor, and an E minor. you could say that these are all like D chords with different bass notes, right? This is a D, this is a D over G. This is like an A sus4, right? But this B minor is like a D sus2 with a B bass note. This F sharp minor is kind of like a D over F sharp, a D sus2 over F sharp. And the E minor becomes an E minor 7. But forget the names of these chords. Let me show you what this would sound like if I do some of the verses here. And when I strum these, here's some of the trick. I'm kind of going to be very much avoiding the high E string some of the time. I want to use it sparingly. I'll probably use it at the end of each verse, right? But you kind of want this note to be the constant. You want this one to ring out. So on my up strums, right? Right? Down, down, up, down, up. I was kind of favoring just this note on all the up strums. So if you went through the, let's do the chorus progression there, right? So, oh, come take my hand, we're riding out tonight to case the promised land. Lying out there like a killer in the sun. Yeah, I know it's late, we can make it if we run. Whoa, 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 thunder, oh, sit tight, take hold, thunder, oh. Well, I've got this guitar and I learned how to make it talk. And my car's out back if you're ready to take that long walk from your front porch to my front seat. The door's open but the ride ain't free. Well, I know you're hungry for words that I ain't spoken. Tonight we'll be free, all the promises will be broken. There were ghosts in the eyes of all the boys you sent away. And you can combine those chords with regular strummy chords, you know? Do the more chill parts. I kind of like to do the more chill parts with those unique voicings. But every now and then I'll go to that regular G, you know, for that D, G, D. I'll do the regular G. And then when you get to the more heavy, you know, whoa, whoa, come take my hand, we're riding up tonight. You can do the regular chords on the heavier parts, these alternate voicings on the more chill parts. So that's how you do those chord shapes. My fingering guide for these chords is in the PDF. That way you can see which fingers you're using for which chords. So that's basically one thing you want to keep in mind. And with that strumming pattern, it's keeping the down, down, up, down, up motion, but it's right. It's sort of on those up strums. It's really favoring just the second string. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. So I'm only hitting like 1 or 2 strings per pluck, but I'm going in the right direction. Down, down, up, down, up. But it's bass note. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This can let you sort of mimic Bruce. I think there's a live performance I have on my website where he looks like he's doing these chord shapes, right? So it's a good way to just be really chill with this song. And you can use that with the strumming pattern I showed you. You can mix and match that with the full chord shapes I'm going to show you. And the last thing I want to show you here before I get to a playthrough of the entire thing is just how to sort of mimic the intro riff and the outro riff, right? You have the harmonica in the beginning, right? Right, so that's what the harmonica is playing. Here's the tab for it. The golden notes that are highlighted and circled represent the melody notes, right? If you were to hum it. But what I also have on the 1 count of each measure is if you want to be more advanced and sort of do a full strum on the 1 count, this makes it a lot harder, but it's a good thing to practice if you're interested in this sort of thing. Pay attention to my fingering notes here. For example, on this G, you want to use your middle finger on the low E string, and then go from either ring or pinky fret to 2nd fret, and then the D again. Now for this F sharp minor and the 6th measure, it's hard to play the F sharp minor chord but get that first melody note in there. So I just mimic what I do for the B minor, but I just play the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. And this G is really tough. Those last 2 measures are really hard to get the strum going on, so it's okay if you leave the strum, right? So once again, that intro riff in full. The screen door slams, Mary dress waves, like a vision she dances, and then the outro riff. So we're pulling out of here to win. Same deal. The highlighted notes represent the melody. You can just play it by itself. Right? But I like to do that 1 count full strum if I can, right? I'm missing the bass note here, that G. Whoops. A tip here is when you're doing the A, I'm typically always barring it with my index finger on the 2nd fret and just getting the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. Right? And otherwise, you got to do a lot of pinky reach into this 4th fret. You can, in that 4th measure, I have the G, I'm doing this in the tab. Right? But you could just do an A chord there actually as well. Then 5th measure. Those last 2 measures are tricky as well. So only do these full strums as you want. But that's basically the little tab there if you want to mimic those. So next, let's get to a full playthrough, and I'll show you how it sounds when I put it all together. A couple notes before I get into this is I might be deviating from the strumming pattern a little bit here and there. So don't get mad at me if I am going, hey, you have it written down this, but you're strumming differently. Again, it's all about strumming really organically with this. You know, the strumming pattern is it's a reference or it's a guideline. It's not necessarily something you have to stay totally strictly tied to. I'm also going to sing this. If that bothers you, then you can turn off the singing with the button on YouTube. Don't let it bother you. It's good for context. I love this song. And yeah, I'm going to do the full thing and be mixing and matching the chords, and we'll see how this sounds when you put it all together. So let's hear Thunder Road by Bruce Springsteen. Like a vision she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Roy Orbison sang and for the lonely. Hey, that's me and I want you only. Don't turn me home again, I just can't face myself alone again. Run back inside, darling, you know just what I'm here for. So you're scared and you're thinking that maybe we ain't that young anymore. Show a little faith, there's magic in the night. You ain't a beauty, but it open, these two lanes will take us anywhere. We got one last chance to make it real, to trade in these wings on some wheels. But I'm in back, heaven's waiting down on the tracks. Whoa, whoa, come take my hand, we're riding out tonight to case the promised land. Whoa, 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 thunder roll, whoa, thunder roll, whoa, thunder roll. Lying out there like a killer in the sun. Yeah, I know it's late, we can make it if we run. Whoa, 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 thunder roll, sits high, take hold, thunder roll. Well, I've got this guitar and I've learned how to make it talk. And my car's out back if you're ready to take that long walk from your park porch to my front seat. The door's open but the ride ain't free. Well, I know you're lonely for words that I ain't spoken. Tonight we'll be free, all the promises will be broken. There will be ghosts in the eyes of all the boys you sent away. They haunt this dusty beach road in skeleton frames of burned out Chevrolets. They scream your name at night in the street, your graduation gown out in rags at their feet. And in the lonely cool before dawn, you hear their engines rolling on. So you get to the porch, they're gone on the way. So Mary climbing, it's a town full of losers.